And we have new developments in special counsel Jack Smith's investigation of former President Trump and the 2020 election interference charges. A former top Trump campaign official who was accused of being part of the so-called fake elector scheme was seen entering a D.C. courthouse where a grand jury has been hearing testimony. Gary Michael Brown had previously drawn the attention of the January 6th committee. Let me bring in NBC Justice reporter Ryan Riley. Also with us, former U.S. Attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance. So, Ryan, this is not one of those household names from the investigation. Who is Gary Michael Brown? Do we know anything about his testimony or what it might be?
You know, it's not one of those household names, but he is someone who the January 6th committee played a really essential role in this whole entire endeavor. And there's a selfie photo that he actually sent from outside the Capitol the day before January 6th, suggesting that he had delivered some of these fake electors, these so-called fake electors, to Congress. So he's a really pretty much a linchpin of this entire endeavor. He's being represented by Stanley Woodward, who is a lawyer who is representing a number of people in Trump world. So I think that, you know, whether or not he's cooperating is that sort of open question. I think based on the length of his testimony, perhaps not. But there is the possibility that his testimony was compelled even after he took the Fifth Amendment. That's prosecutors have the ability to grant some immunity towards that, and we've seen that suggested in other cases involving some of these fake electors who testified last week. So we don't really know the details. He wasn't in there all that long. He wasn't there as long as those fake electors who were there last week. But I think that we're definitely getting to a pivot point very quickly in this investigation, given the number of these fake electors who have testified, given the individual who is at the center of some of this and apparently delivered those votes to Congress. We're really getting to the bottom of this, I think, Chris.